AI is leading to economists having to have a conversation about the concept of a basic universal income. And if I'm honest, I think it's complete fantasy. For example, we would have to treat everything made by AI in Britain as some kind of UK sovereign wealth fund or equivalent. But we can't, because it's owned by private companies. Secondly, we don't know how to tax AI production. For example, we currently tax employees' wages at source. So the employee is then generating income for the company, and then the government is then taxing the employee, and the company turnover, and the profits, and then charging dividends tax on payments to shareholders, roughly speaking. But if we remove the tax from the people the company are employing and, let's say, replace them with robots, there goes a huge amount of payroll taxes, plus employers' national insurance. Because robots don't pay tax, as of yet. Maybe if the AI becomes sentient? Ugh. So we first have to figure out a new form of AI-based tax. Secondly, for universal basic income to actually work, the government would need to nationalise everything. Because prior to popular belief, most prices are set by supply and demand, minus some price gouging during the pandemic. God, that was a weird time. But if you didn't control rental prices, for example, they would just increase to whatever the average salary was, including the universal basic income. Because if everybody has more money, the money's buying power just decreases. This would also end up applying to food, council tax, because we know the government couldn't resist, energy bills, because Ofwat is basically government-backed racketeering at this point. The state would have to control pretty much everything. We would all effectively be admitting that capitalism was dead. Long live the king. I'd like to point out that I think we are decades off this actually being a problem. Simply because AI may be improving very fast, but cost-effective robotics still needs to catch up. Now I know Amazon is using a lot of robots in its factories, along with Tesla and other manufacturing companies, but manufacturing is one thing, but actually using it to sell and manage other human beings is quite another. For example, one of the things being theorised is that AI will cause a kind of white-collar job apocalypse. That anything to do with data analysis, clerk work, or administration, all will be done by an AI. But the one thing nobody's factoring in this is just how much that would cost. For example, on energy alone, last year Kumi co-authored a report funded by the US Department of Energy, which estimated that US data centres currently use 176 terawatt hours of energy. A terawatt is a unit of energy representing 1 trillion watt hours. And that was 4.4% of the US's yearly energy use. And that might double or triple by the year 2028 to 7% or even 12%. There is also the other issue that this still has to be run by a specific type of AI. For example, it would be very stupid of a company to just sell you a universal, world-renowned, fantastic at everything AI. In my mind, AI will be sold like software packages with subscriptions, being updated all the time. And once they're ingrained in company ecosystems, you're trapped with whatever they want to charge. Just like me and Adobe. The point I'm making is that the idea that any government could control the economics of AI is laughable. You would literally have to become China. A communist dictatorship with capitalistic tendencies. And so a universal basic income would most likely follow us all being known as comrade and working for the state. Although I do hear it ends in good vodka. Personally, I think the UK's AI legislation is laughably behind the times. And someone needs to start planning for the future, or else the future might just pass us by.